Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're diving deep into a stock that is in the middle of an absolute war, Opendoor. On one side, you have the bulls, betting big on growth and AI. And on the other, you have a very coordinated army of short sellers trying to hammer the price down. So who's got the upper hand? We're going to break it all down. So here's how we're going to tackle this. Think of it like an hourglass. We'll start big with the overall market mood. Then we'll narrow our focus all the way down to Opendoor's daily price action and the intense battle with the shorts. After that, we'll follow the money, and then we'll zoom back out to look at the one big thing that could change everything. So this is the big question, right? You've basically got this massive tug of war happening with Opendoor stock. You've got the true believers, the bulls, pulling on one side, and then you've got this immense, determined force of short sellers pulling on the other. So who's really in control here? All right, first up, the market's bullish mood. To really get what's happening with Opendoor, you've got to understand the ocean it's swimming in. And right now, it seems like a rising tide for growth stocks is starting to come in. First off, what are the big dogs on Wall Street thinking? Well, you have major players like JP Morgan who are actually calling for a pretty broad market rally, maybe even pushing the whole market up by about 10% into 2026. That creates a really positive vibe, a nice tailwind for stocks across the board. So why does a 10% bump for the whole market get us so excited about one stock? Well, it all comes down to this idea of high beta. High beta stocks are kind of like the sports cars of the market. They're more volatile. That means when things are bad, they can fall hard. But when the market rallies, they have the potential to just blow past that 10% average and post some really huge gains. Okay, so that's the 30,000-foot view. Now let's get our boots on the ground and look at what's actually happening with Opendoor's stock, day in and day out. So if you look at a recent trading day, yeah, the stock was up, which is great to see. But the really interesting number here is the volume, just over 14 million shares. Honestly, that's kind of low. It tells you that this upward move isn't happening because of some massive flood of new buyers. It's a bit more of a quiet climb. And while there isn't any big official news dropping from the company, you've got the CEO making noise on social media. This post right here is super telling. He's basically shouting from the rooftops that their big bet on AI is paying off, letting them expand way, way faster. It's their core story, and he's making sure the market hears it. Now for Section 3. And folks, this is where the story gets really interesting. This is the other side of that tug-of-war, the intense, relentless pressure from the people betting that this stock is going to fail. We're talking about the shorts. And this isn't some old story. This is happening right now. I mean, just on one recent day, short sellers piled on another 421,000 shares to their bets against the company. This is an active campaign to keep the price down. So, to put that into perspective, it means that almost 15% of all the shares available for you and me to trade are currently being borrowed and sold by people who think the price is going down. That is a huge amount of negative pressure. And if you add it all up, we're talking about a staggering 113 million shares in total being shorted. Just think about that number. That's the mountain this stock has to climb every single day. Now, this next metric is super important. It's called days to cover, or DTC, and you can see it's creeping up towards 9 days. Now, why do we care? Because a higher number here is like a spring getting coiled tighter. It means if some big positive news drops, these shorts can't all escape at once. They get trapped, and that can cause the price to just explode upward. And you have to understand, this isn't just random selling. These guys are smart. They're like snipers. They're targeting these key technical price points, like a stock's moving average, to hit the stock right when it looks like it's about to break out. They're trying to crush any momentum before it can even start. Okay, so with this epic battle playing out, where's the actual money going? Let's move on to Section 4 and follow the breadcrumbs by looking at the options market and some other interesting trading activity. So when we peek into the options market, which is where a lot of these big bets are made, we're seeing a ton of activity. But look at this split. It is basically 50-50. I mean, 52% bullish, that is as close to a coin flip as you can get. The fight is incredibly tight. And this slide just lays it out perfectly. Here are the battle lines for the week. The bulls are placing their bets, trying to ram the price up towards that $750 range. The bears, meanwhile, are desperately trying to shove it back down below $650. It's a classic standoff. But it's not just in the open market. We're seeing some weird stuff happening behind the scenes. you've got these large, clean, even-numbered trades happening in what are called dark pools. Now, these are basically private stock exchanges for the big guys, away from public eyes. This isn't your average investor. This is a footprint of big money quietly getting into position. All right, let's bring it home with our last section. We have this perfect stalemate, this tug of war. So what could possibly break it? What's the next big catalyst we're all waiting for? You hear the term short squeeze thrown around all the time, right? Where short sellers get panicked and are forced to buy back shares, sending the price flying. But it's so important to remember this. They don't just happen. You need something big, a real spark to light that fire. So, what's that spark for Opendoor? Well, it all comes down to their next earnings report. And this quote, yeah, it's blunt, but it says it all. This is the company's big chance to prove their vision is real, to prove the numbers work, and to really stick it to the Wall Street doubters. So in the meantime, while we wait, here are the key numbers you need to be watching. The bears have basically built a wall right around that 665 mark. If the bulls can break through that and, more importantly, hold it, that is a major victory. On the flip side, they absolutely have to defend that support level down at 643. And that really is the heart of it all, isn't it? Opendoor clearly has this huge, ambitious vision for the future, and they're betting the farm on AI to get them there. But the question is, in this absolutely brutal war with short sellers, do they have the firepower, that big catalyst, to actually win? I guess we're all going to be watching that next earnings report very, very closely to find out.